Welcome to Sensible Center's podcast, Democracy 2.0. Kevin's a left-of-center guy from Wisconsin, and Bob's a right-of-center guy from Tennessee. But we both believe our political system is broken and in need of reform. In Democracy 2.0, we explore the issues facing the U.S., why our representatives are no longer serving the will of the people, and what movements and solutions are out there. It's time for a reboot. It's time for Democracy 2.0. Hello there, Bob.
It's Iran war night, Kevin.
Sorry. Now, all our listeners just press the stop button.
We need to get a really long
At least we got the downloads.
Song.
We'll just take the downloads.
That's right.
If everyone's cut off afterwards, that's fine. Yes, we're doing a back and forth thing. So I'm going to pick topic one time, and Bob will pick the next. So tonight, Bob was dying to talk about Iran. But Bob, before we do that, and I said you'll be able to lead, but I want to talk about and it's Iran related, is the president and the catering truck.
Yeah.
Deal?
So a detail for those of you who don't recall, about a month ago or so, Trump was in Europe, Turkey, I believe specifically, and some intel was given to the Secret Service. Where that intel came from, we're not exactly sure. Some stories say it came from Iran. Some say it came from internally. Some say it came from Europe. Regardless of wherever, or Pakistan, wherever it came from, intel that they were going to make an attempt on Trump's life, potentially when he was flying on the plane. And so they determined they needed to do something to protect the president. Now, at the time, the main story was the press was told, close your windows on the plane, don't open them. They need to be closed in case something happens. Didn't give any real detail as to why. You could guess, and at the time I had guessed, potentially it's because there's going to be, if something happens and the plane needs to take evasive measures, it's not something they want seen because they don't want it widely reported. That was kind of my guess. Or there would be potentially warp planes alongside the plane and it could scare the press.
Never mind the missile. Right. Never mind the missile outside the window.
That's right.
Whee! Yeah. We're just going to be swerving around a little bit.
That's it. That was my guess, right? So anyway, what happened? It came out in the last couple of days, is they actually had taken Trump off of the plane in a catering cart, not dissimilar to what you would see at an airport when you fly. Cart that brings the food to the plane.
I heard they lured him into the cart by having cheeseburgers in the cart, and he just sniffed his way out into
McDonald's
the cart, sort of like the cartoon character, you know,
yeah.
the wafting of the smell of the burgers and
wafting.
Let him
to
the catering cart.
Yeah. So of course now, part of the internet saying, "Oh, he doesn't care about the press, and he was willing to give up the press's lives for
that was my biggest thing, right?"
So the thing is, I think it should be common knowledge. The Secret Service will do whatever they need to do to protect the president, and yes, the press is dispensable, right? Secondly, and I did not read deeply into this, but I read a small snippet today that said, actually, something very similar was done in the Clinton years.
Yeah,
but I did not know about.
Yeah, I don't know if it was quite the same. I think he took a different jet. I don't know if there was a decoy plane like this though. That's the thing, and I think there was staff on that plane too. It wasn't just the press. I think I would like to know what staff was on the plane. I mean, just
little Marco.
Maybe they should have told him, and do you tell him and give him the ability, or does that ruin that? Maybe after the president is off in another jet, you say, "Hey, you guys, we've got a whatever." You know what I'm saying?
Obviously, they don't. I was thinking, can you imagine if that that plane that the president wasn't on got hit, and the crazy leftists on the internet would have been celebrating all crazy. You would have had some leftist reporters,
And then he would have showed up like the
and then he would have
resurrection of
showed,
Jesus
yes, exactly.
and be worshipped even more. It's like,
That would be
ta-da!
that would be
I
some
got out.
par for the course for the Trump presidency, man.
That's right. He's
Dude got
skating
shot
by.
in the ear.
He did get shot in the ear, amazingly.
That's the craziest thing.
It is crazy. Yeah, I just when I heard that, and then he had like I guess they all came back on the plane after they got to I forgot where they got to Germany or somewhere else where they stopped somewhere before they and I guess the Qatari plane is in service now, but they didn't think that was I couldn't follow that story that the Air Force One that the Qataris gave us that wasn't they didn't feel that was secure enough or
I
something.
imagine that had to be very well vetted and went through with a fine tooth comb. But I still doubt it's up to the standards of what Air Force One needs to be.
Right. So yeah, there's some strangeness there, but yeah, he had a press conference going back on the plane, and he did make it sound like he was on that plane. So he's like, if I go down, you go down, because they asked him why we had to close the windows.
Yeah,
did you did you see that bit?
yeah, yeah.
He's like, well, it's dangerous. Yeah, more dangerous than you think. Uh, well, I thought that was an interesting story. I'm like, what if that plane? You're right. What if that did get shot down? Oh boy. All right. Sorry to segue into that. I just thought that happened over the last couple of days, and I just thought that was an interesting uh, story
Yeah, I think
in
that's
regards.
above board for the purposes of protecting the president, especially if you consider it wartime as well, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, but the question is, do you still fly the decoy plane?
Yeah, yeah. That's
I mean, it's not safe enough for him, but it's safe enough for you.
I
That
was
type of
also
thing.
reading that apparently the Iranians there's some belief that the Iranians knew where they were staying, where they were meeting, what the building was, what floor they were
Oh boy.
on, and all of that. Right? So
Well, that's that
the fact that
that
they,
happens when you start taking out foreign leaders. It's
yeah,
kind of like all bets are off.
the fact that they didn't go after him, if that's the case, is kind of surprising to me.
I think that's always kind of the case in war. I think even World War One, two, there were
Yeah.
threats.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I mean, Putin hasn't tried to take out uh, the guy in Ukraine. I can't think of his name right now. And that's really
Zelensky,
kind of been
Zelensky.
it's made me wonder for a long time why.
How
It's not
come
like
they
he's
can't
not.
get to him? Yeah,
Yeah, it's not like they can't get to him. He knows where he is at all times. He's got the weaponry to do it, but
right.
he hasn't.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Yeah, I don't know why. It's evidently not as easy as it looks. Maybe, or
Possibly.
or there's other dynamics involved that you don't want to.
Yeah, I think it's got to be some dynamic. I'm not sure what it is. And early on, I thought the whole war is money laundering in there. It's a fake war to generate money. That's
Yeah,
what my initial thoughts were. Because otherwise, why wouldn't he have taken him out already? Putin's not shy about finding creative ways to end people.
that's right. He does it in house.
He does. That remember there was a potential coup in Russia early on in the war, and one of his leaders of one of
Oh yeah.
the contract sects of
Yep.
the army,
Yep.
he marched on Moscow. Then the guy turned around, and then Putin shot his plane down.
Oops. It's a
Well,
mechanical.
yeah,
Don't get in the planes. Don't get in the confined spaces.
no sir.
If you see any white powder, run away.
Yeah. That guy got on a plane. I think he was heading to Russia to talk business.
Yeah, Belarus, I think maybe.
Yeah, Anyway,
All
so we're
right,
back on the Iran war. You
back
had
on
brought up
Iran.
earlier this week.
Yeah, I guess we hadn't talked about it because I don't think we've had a podcast since. Well,
I
yeah,
think early on when it first happened, we talked about it a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. Can't remember. Everybody should go back and listen to all the episodes.
that's right. Review.
That's right. Maybe not the one we were seeing. So, Iran war. You brought up the question: what does this mean for Trump's presidency now, given where we're at? So, step one, he campaigned on no war. Item two, he ended up deciding to go to war with Iran. He instigated it, if you will. I know there's a long history there. He attacked them. He had a build up to it. It wasn't secret that it was happening. He attacked them, and then he backed off, and everything he said he wanted to accomplish outside of potentially cutting off the head of the regime has not been accomplished.
Well, let's talk about maybe why he got involved in the first place. I mean, why do you think? I have my own theory in regards to how we got pulled into. Like you said, he campaigned on no foreign wars, which I think was a very appealing thing to a lot of his base, right?
Yeah, my that absolutely. I've got a lot of problems with the way the second term has gone. The Iran war
I'm glad you're
at this
saying that.
point, Iran war at this point is probably the biggest issue I've got with them. Right, we're spending all kinds of money. Once he did it, whether I agree with him going in or not, and I lean towards I don't. He should have finished the job, right? And that's a problem. But your question: why did he go in the first place?
All right.
I suspect he was tired of the ongoing proxy war, the attacks on Israel, which have been expensive to us because we have to defend Israel both in Israel and against these proxies. Money going to other areas of the Middle East, and the threat Iran has posed to us and our friends over time. He just said, that's enough. We're going to stop this. And I think he probably thought that it was going to be something simple, quick, and easy. And then he found out it wasn't going to be so simple, quick, and easy when Iran started attacking our friends, Middle East oil infrastructure, closing down the Strait of Hormuz. And now he's like, oh, got to stop this because the market had a problem with it. And frankly, I'm surprised as long as this has gone on, since we attacked them again and then stopped. There's been no oil flowing through the strait, and the market's been, pretty indifferent about the whole thing.
Yeah, let's. I have thoughts on why the market, and I've been doing some reading on that too. But let's back up to like even before the war. I mean, the last 2 years, there's been, they've been lopping missiles back and forth, right? Israel and
Mm-hmm.
Iran and
The
if we go
Houthis and
back through,
Hamas.
yeah, if we go through that history, I would say I was surprised how sort of feckless Iran's counterattacks were, right? Uh, Basically, they couldn't do any damage to Israel.
Nope.
It seemed like a lot of the stuff was shot down. The Iron Dome. We helped with our anti missile defense systems off the coast and whatnot. So to me, it seemed like wow, Iran's not maybe as strong in the region as we think, right? And I think and I always go back to BB on these things. Um, that Netanyahu, um, he's been saying Iran's been weeks away from a nuclear weapon for about 20 years, I think. Um,
We've been
that's how,
saying that too.
yeah, but that's how they get excited about it, right? That seems to be a justification, and I think that was to me that was the biggest justification here, which is kind of to me kind of
I don't know. I also err towards the side of In order for us to be able to afford developing new weapons, we have to be able to sell and use our weapons that we're developing. We have to fund it somehow, and war's a good way to do that, right?
Well, that's a whole nother issue. That's kind of war in general. But this war, if you remember, we attacked last summer, right? We attacked the nuclear facilities that were destroyed and decimated, or whatever the terminology that was used by Trump, and somehow 6 months later they were back online or something. We had done, we said we had damaged the nuclear, and now then we got tied into sort of a regime change war. And I would say, I mean, I did some reading. Um, uh, Maggie Haberman of the New York Times and Jonathan Swain wrote the book Regime Change, that came out probably a month or so ago, and they have some pretty good intel. I generally tend to think that they source this stuff on deep background. Obviously, nobody's named particularly, but BB got a hearing in the in with all the in the Situation Room in the White House with all the principals, and was going through the slideshow selling them on the war, and I think he basically threatened if we weren't going to join him, he was going to do it himself. Um, I think they didn't name who said it, but I think possibly JD said, this is wrong. Definitely JD was
Yeah.
against it. This is wrong. It's not where we should do. So I not that I have respect for JD, but in that particular situation, I think he it seems like he stood up. He ended up caving at the end because I think he might have been the one who said, um, you know,
Hell, he's going
I'm
to
gonna
run cover. That's his job.
I'm gonna resign or whatever. I don't know if he was just doing it to protect his right
Yeah.
to protect his later on if it didn't work out he'd have at least his political cover. He could be a that could have been it, but I think Trump got dragged into this by Bibi. That's
Yeah,
my
I
theory.
don't know. If Trump is pretty strong-willed. If Trump didn't want to do it, didn't believe it was right,
Mm,
if it was a matter of Israel saying, you know what, we're going to do it with you or without you, let him go. Let him go. Let him get theirs, and then protect them on the backside, right? See what happens. Call or bluff. I don't know. I think there's more to it. And we may never know necessarily the full story. It could be something very similar to what the rumors were with the Bushes when Bush 2 went after Saddam, or W went after Saddam, right? Trump also might have just. It's no secret that Iran tried to kill him more than once,
right.
and they were still after him. And Trump said, "I'll show you." All right, and maybe he got a little bit of a hot head on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I
There,
don't think he was going with the advice of any of the military here or a lot of his inner sanctum. At least the reporting that I saw was that he went on a gut instinct on this one.
so now that we're here, why isn't he going through with finishing the job
Well, because what does that mean? I mean, that means troops on the ground at this point. It looks like
or some sort of other special operation? Yeah.
uh, it was special operation to do what?
Well, the pager thing was pretty cool, right? That was Israel. That
Well,
wasn't
I think
us.
we
But
killed a good deal of their leadership, right? I mean,
yeah. So who's left? That's the question. Who's left? Who are we negotiating with?
well, I think that's the Republican Guard. I think that's who kind of stepped up. I think it's less the
But they don't
the
have any
religious.
real
I
power.
think it's less the religious component. Obviously, I the Khomeini or son,
So we don't
whatever
have the
the grand
intelligence to be
leader.
able to pick out the next IRGC head,
That's the
drop
scary
a
part,
missile on
Bob.
his
I mean,
head,
the
wait for
scary
the
part
next
is that
one, drop a missile on their head, wait for the next one, drop a missile on their head. Sooner or later, the 15th guy in line is going to say, "You win." I would think.
but that's the scary part, Bob. I mean, like I said, I over the last 2 years, I was in the position of, wow, Iran's not as strong in that region as I thought, and somehow we turned that around by us attacking them. because it shows how weak we are that we can't. I mean, the Strait of Hormuz, to let them to miss that as their leverage and not have a plan for securing that. I mean that somebody
Yeah.
should be somebody should be losing their job,
So
right?
that brings up
There's
the
nobody
next
losing
point.
their job over this. It's ridiculous.
Is the Strait of Hormuz that big of a deal? Why isn't oil 130, 140, $150 a barrel right now?
Well, what I read is that people are shifting. They're shifting demand to other forms of energy. Um, they're shifting where they're getting their supplies from. Um, yeah, I mean, I heard demand for oil was down. I mean, throughout the world, they're they're moving to alternatives. So maybe that's part of it.
Right.
That
So
it's
it's
like,
not maybe so scary, and if it's not so scary anymore, that's going to solve that. It's not, the Strait of Hormuz is not an issue if it's not an issue. And right now, just given markets, I think markets, you and I would both agree, are probably the best indicator of what's truly happening. Markets are
I mean, that,
indicating the strait being closed for give or take 4 months now. It's not a big deal.
I always thought that was sort of the best way to box Iran and Russia would be get off of oil, right? That they're both sort of petro states, right? And that's the biggest way to injure them.
Sure.
And maybe that's what we're doing. I obviously we're paying $4 a gallon here, so it's not great, right? Our inflation is 3.5% because oil and whatnot is higher. Yes, it should be theoretically it should be worse, right? It should probably be 30 to 50% higher than it is. But that's oil markets too. I think oils are traded mostly on the futures market, right? So it's mostly speculation.
Hmm.
And I think Trump, rightly or wrongly, has continued to say a deal is coming, right? So you don't want to be on the wrong side of that trade, right?
So it
So I
keeps the price down.
so I think that keeps the price damps it down a little bit, and then when it looks like something's not happening, it goes back up a little bit, and he damps it down a little bit. I mean, it's clearly being manipulated because how many times have
Hasn't
we
happened.
heard,
Yeah.
yeah, where the deal's in it? I mean, just last weekend, whatever, there was the Oman deal. They were gonna Iran and Oman's on the other side of the strait. They were gonna come together for an agreement to control the strait and at least open the strait up if nothing else was resolved. And here we are, a week later, and we still don't have anything. And
So the
and
strategic oil reserve has about 300 million barrels in it today, down
right, that's
from
another thing.
750, 758, right?
Countries are releasing their reserves
Yeah.
too.
So we're hitting our reserve to the tune of about 5 or 6 million barrels a week at this point. The statutory minimum allowed in that reserve is somewhere around 220, 230 barrels, right? So we still got probably 50 to 70 to go before we hit that point.
Hmm.
At that point, either the law will have to change, or we'll need to stop pulling oil out of there. So that may be a point. That may be an inflection point at that point where oil starts to rise. But it's obvious the market's not worried about us getting there at this point. I did a little research to try to figure out, because if you listen to the media, they'll tell you if you draw down too far out of the reserves, the caverns that they sit in will collapse. I don't really
Wow.
understand how that works, but it's pretty widely reported that there
Yeah, I
needs
think
to
I read
be
that too.
needs to be
A
a
minimum,
minimum
right?
in there, right? So
Yeah, you can't draw it all the way down.
right. So there does get to be a point where we're stuck and we can't draw down on that reserve anymore. And I think at that point you start to see a spike. And it's also at that point where you start to get worried, even if they fix the problem, in order to get that reserve built back up, the government's going to need to buy enough oil to keep the price propped up higher than it would normally be. So,
Now the weird thing is, I don't think we get any oil through the strait.
no, we get most of ours from North America, yeah, or South America maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's the weird thing. So
But
I
more Japan and Asia is buying more from us as a result.
right, that it's a global commodity.
Yeah.
So even though we're probably producing record amounts, I don't think a lot of the stuff that we produce ends up here because our refineries aren't fitted to produce the kind of oil gas that we use. So we export and then we import pretty much. But I think we're still a net exporter.
Of oil, yeah, yeah. It will
Why
probably serve to.
why somebody doesn't build refineries that can process the oil that we're producing? I don't know.
Well, we have them. California shut a bunch of them down, right? So California is taking a bigger hit than probably the rest of the country on this. But I mean, the refineries are here. I wouldn't necessarily want one in my backyard, although we had one when we lived in Chicagoland, right?
Yeah, it says we really get almost get no physical oil through the strait because of high domestic production and imported from Canada and Mexico. So,
Yeah, that Europe and Asia are getting hit a lot heavier. Their supply,
well,
and then
then
complicating it even
they
more
should be
is
helping. They should be helping opening the strait, shouldn't they?
yeah, and that's one of the topics I actually had. So, at what point, what would cause Europe to start getting involved in this war? Is it the point where we can't draw on our strategic oil reserves anymore, and the price of oil goes significantly higher very fast? Is that the only thing that would do it?
Yeah, I haven't followed like when I went to Italy in May. I was concerned because they were talking about jet fuel. Like I know they did cancel a bunch of flights.
Yeah,
I don't know what the current status is um, in regards to whether they're continuing, but they thought they only had several months of jet fuel left. Um, maybe some of the stuff that made it through during the time that oil was getting through gave them some relief.
yeah. Even then, I think you were only talking 30 to 50 ships a day, though. It still wasn't fully back open. But yeah, I had the same thing. Same when I went to Japan, I was thinking, man, am I going to be able to get back home? My flight going to get canceled?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's really talking about like why what is happening on the oil side, right? What like are people adjusting where they're getting it from or the demand side? I haven't really seen a recent discussion on like
I think the
can
economic repercussions of a drastic oil spike would be terrible. I just look at it, they're just now starting to really get people back into the office. If you have lines at gas stations for gasoline, all that goes away and people start over, right?
right.
You start to really hurt the real estate or continue, as it's starting to recover, real estate gets hurt, small businesses get hurt, that sort of thing. And I think that's why they're trying to control that message. But at some point, if we hit the bottom of the reserve, and I've read Iran at this point is thinking they're going to keep the strait closed till Trump's gone, and then see what they can get out of the United States at that point. I mean, that's two and a half
So
years. We'll be through our reserves by then.
so why do you think the great big powerful United States can't get that straight open? I mean, how come we can't control that situation?
The
I mean,
only
we
logical,
basically blockaded their
yeah,
blockade,
the
right?
only
We
logical reason in my mind is we don't know where all their missiles are, and they're highly mobile, and all it takes is one or two ships to go down, and it just stops traffic.
right. I think it's that guerrilla warfare thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? The asymmetric warfare where you don't need tons of missiles. You don't need huge capability, you need the ability to send, 5 drones and knock off 5 ships of hundreds, and that freezes it, right?
One of my
Because nobody
neighbors a
wants to
month gets
nobody
shot.
wants to take the chance, right?
One neighbor a month gets shot going to the office. I'm not going to leave my house. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean?
Right. So
So
why didn't our I think we knew this. I think we knew this going in. I think the military told Trump this, and he did it anyway.
yeah, oh, I do too. I think he knew that risk.
So
I
that's
think
why
he
I'm
thought,
saying,
oh, you know what? We're going
getting
to end
back
them
to
so
the
fast.
effect on his
Yeah.
presidency, isn't this something that we should just be like, this effectively should end, right? Not that we're kicking him out, but he should have no political capital at this
Yeah.
point for pulling such a bonehead move. I think, based against the advice of his military and cabinet.
So you watch more news than I do, I'm going to assume, because I haven't really watched news in years. Right? I watch an hour of loose news, more comedy than news a day, and that's about it.
Right.
So what is the opinion out there? And I don't know what's the opinion. I can guess what CNN and MSNBC is. I would guess that Fox is avoiding a lot of these topics.
Sure.
What
I mean, it gets back to the base, right? I mean, he literally has a free pass with the base. I mean, you look at Tucker, right? Tucker's the he's the anti-Iran war segment of the base, right?
Yeah,
Is he getting traction?
I don't know if I'd
Is
call him the
he
base, but
well, whatever. He used to be the base,
hmm
right? It wasn't the they were the base not too long ago. Joe Rogan was the base too, sort
yeah,
of, right?
yeah.
And both of them had turned on this that whole segment that because and I call it I mean, it's sort of the libertarian argument, the anti-war, anti-involvement, America first. All that was
And
sold,
then we did it, and then
and
we went after
then
Iran.
we do this,
Yeah,
which is
and
like,
once you do it, you have to finish the job. That's what I don't
and
understand. Like,
right, and not only doing it, but looking hugely feckless. We haven't even talked about we're running out of missiles, right?
I don't know if I believe that.
Oh, you just think it's drumming up some
I,
additional funding,
to be fair or honest, right? We have sent a lot of missiles to Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know
right?
if I believe that we're running out of missiles.
Yeah.
That that that
Well,
doesn't
that's
quite
a
seem.
yeah. Well, I'd like to believe that we're not. Um, I maybe certain kinds of missiles. Um, who knows? But that gets them to the point where not only we've done this, but you look at the other dominoes falling. Right? You mentioned it last week or whatever, and I saw reporting. But Putin's considering,
Yeah, an attack
maybe
on
poking a
NATO.
NATO
Yep,
country,
sure.
maybe poking a NATO country,
Yep,
because hey, you guys are busy there. I mean, China's got to be salivating over Taiwan, right?
sure.
I don't know what's preventing them from
China goes
from
into Taiwan. Putin goes ahead and hits Poland. Right, something small, not a lot of damage, not a lot of death, but direct and apparent that he did it on purpose, and that splits NATO. What are you going to do, right? United States are probably not going to do much.
yeah. My thought, I think I told you, is that
Honestly, if Russia
maybe they're waiting to after the midterms to hope that we have a split government
if Russia
rather than
made a big impact on Poland, let's just say something very nasty, what do you think? What do you think Spain would do? What do you think France would do? Do you think they would do anything?
see. I don't think Putin's going to do that. I really don't. I think I don't think he's strong enough to do that. I mean, I think he's a survivalist, and I don't see him doing that. Ukraine sort of sense. That was not NATO. I sort of saw his argument there. He
I
didn't
don't
want them to
think
become NATO. He
I
didn't
don't
want
think we would.
anyone in their
I
backyard.
don't. Even if it was a NATO member, I don't think we would have done anything. I really
You don't
don't.
think
I
so?
don't think Trump or I
Oh,
don't
I
think
don't.
anybody in the United States wants a war with Russia.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Well, now after I've seen how we've bungled Iran, I don't, I don't want war to begin with.
No,
But
no.
I'm
And we're
when we
fortunate.
went
We
when
really
we
haven't
went
had death.
when we went into Iran. I mean, clearly, my point of view was clearly this is against what he talked about. I don't like war, but they have sowed terror. They've gotten away with a lot. Their their domestic. There have been several occasions going back to Obama and the.
Yep.
I mean, he missed the boat on that too. And January this year they had an uprising, which we missed the boat on that
We
too,
shouldn't have
right?
let it. We shouldn't have let it happen in the first place. If you're going to
Right.
make any
We
argument,
shouldn't have let them kill 15 to 30,000
no.
people who are looking to overthrow their government,
Well,
and then we attack them to take out the government.
yeah.
They've already taken out the people who are going to fill in the gap, right?
Yep.
Um,
I,
that's
I
just
think
plain boneheaded.
I think the Strait of Hormuz was probably a bigger issue in the 80s, or Reagan maybe would have done something then, right? Although even prior to Reagan, there should have been something done. But
Yeah, I mean, my point is they've been a thorn in the side. Then you throw on the nuclear side of things. I kind of thought Obama had it boxed a little bit. I mean, that's neither here nor
yeah,
there, I guess.
I kind of felt like
Throwing out that agreement.
once you started, you got to get the job done.
But yeah, but what does that mean? Does that mean whatever it takes? Does that mean we're coming ashore? I thought the deal should have been we'll support you, Israel. If you want to send your troops in there, we'll give you air cover.
You don't think
We're
that
not
we've
putting troops
got
on the
you
ground.
don't think we've got like a something up our sleeve that doesn't involve nuclear weapons that can get the job done? That's what I'm kind of curious about, right? I cannot
So
believe that
why
we don't.
why would we have
I
not
mean,
done it
we don't,
by now?
drones, right? I mean, like not the huge jet-like drones, but multiple swarms of smaller drones is something that we could potentially do without boots on the ground.
When did we attack? The end of February, right? Yeah, beginning of March. We're talking 5 months now.
Yeah. Well,
If we
we've
had
been
the
actively
capability,
fighting for maybe half of it, but yeah,
if we had the capability, why wouldn't we have used it by now?
that's what I'm wondering. You would think we do. I mean,
You
the
would
war in
you would
Ukraine
hope
is
we do.
the war in Ukraine and between Ukraine and Russia. I feel are more drones than anything else right now. Right? I don't know for sure. I know North Korea is sending about 50,000 troops over there.
Well, my understanding is we were behind on the drone technology, and we've learned actually from the Ukrainians in regards to what they're doing and what they've learned over the last whatever 5 years or whatever during that war. I've seen reporting on that. I think that's a true perspective that we 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 weren't as advanced as we should have been on that end, which is embarrassing because look at how much money we spend on the
Yeah,
military.
that's a lot.
I think we're building stuff that is not. We're under old contracts and we're fulfilling defense budget contracts, and yes, some of it is advanced technology, but uh,
Some of it
maybe
is
not
just
enough.
old
Right,
technology that we're overpaying
right,
for. Yeah,
right. Yeah, we bought this much of this whatever, and
yeah.
now it's basically obsolete because the technology. I mean, just think how quick technology moves.
You got to figure every missile nowadays has a multiple chips in them. Chips are hard to come by post COVID.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the physical reality of supply chain and all of that too. It's not. We like to think it, but yeah, it's. I mean, to me, it's terribly. I mean, it's terribly disappointing that we got involved. I do kind of understand somewhat the rationale for the involvement, but the fact that we can't finish it, and not only that, we're getting embarrassed by the Iranians daily.
hmm,
I mean, they're really dictating the terms here. They're seriously dictating it.
there's nothing going on.
Right. They are, like you said, they're playing the long game. They're seeing what they could get.
So,
I mean, and that puts them in even a stronger spot. I don't know how we went from
the world's
the
preeminent
regime changed.
superpower to
Right.
nothing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not good. And if he doesn't, I don't. I think, like I said, I think there should be a massive political punishment for this. I don't know if the country's there yet, right? I don't think the Republican uh, base is ready to turn. I don't understand how that's not the case.
Yeah, and that was one of the big topics for the cast, right?
Right.
Is is the base going to turn? I don't see it. When and I believe Trump will get to nominate another Supreme Court judge, and when he does, the Senate will vote for them. The base will support them. It's going to happen. Anything he wants to do domestically, the base is going to support it.
Yeah, like you said, outside of a
Yeah.
nuclear
Well,
attack,
on the
what
whole,
would it take
uh,
to?
well,
I
and
mean,
that's
this
just
is
it.
this is
You talk about a nuclear attack. I'm starting to see some of the propagandists out there on social media promote the idea of a nuclear attack on Iran to get the job done, right? And it's not exactly subtle, and it's becoming more and more frequent. And I think I've mentioned on a cast in the past, you can see the accounts that are clearly propagandist, right? Because their opinions swing with whatever the president wants, and I'm starting, I'm seeing those very people, now, oh yeah, nuke, we should just nuke them, nuke them. So the paranoid person in me starting to think that the government is trying to prep us for something like that, just in
jeez.
case, just in case. I don't know,
Yeah,
but it
I
shouldn't take
haven't even
that.
I
You
haven't
know,
even I haven't even considered that, but
I've got to believe that we've got thousands of drones the size of a honeybee that we could release there and inject the IRGC with whatever we want. You know what I mean? I really think so. Um,
how many times has he said he was gonna bomb them to the whatever, right? How many times? He said it
yeah,
so many
he
times.
did.
He's lost all
He never
credibility
did
on
it.
that.
He sure did.
Right.
Oh, they're
And
negotiating
so
now,
it's like,
so I'm going to call that back. Pakistanis asked me to be nice, so I'm going to be nice. Yeah,
right. So yeah,
yeah,
he's totally, yeah.
yeah. No, he's got, and at this point, if he doesn't do anything, and I don't think he will,
Right.
but yeah,
He's just ignoring it. I think he hopes it goes away.
yeah, and
Like you said, maybe the price of oil stays, you know, $4 a gallon, and maybe there's a deal worked out between Iran and Oman to let some oil through, and then we just go, well, let's move on to the next topic, right?
I think ultimately that's probably what happens.
Because it doesn't look like they're getting an agreement, right? I mean,
No,
it,
what
how many times have we had an agreement or an agreement for an agreement, and it's just
the thing
like,
that's fascinating to me, I mean, with the Russian war, right? You can at least read stories about what it's like inside Russia. There's not a lot of them, but you can read about the inflation and the struggles they're having and the rapid decrease in the amount of mails out, you know, military age males there.
Right.
You're not hearing anything about what's happening in Iran.
Nope. They get it locked down.
They got it locked down. So that's kind of interesting to me, right? How are the people faring? Do they have jobs? Are they working? Are they going to work? Is inflation
Yeah. I
occurring?
mean, I I I would love to see that as a flourishing country and part of the world. I just don't know how we get there. And I mean, we could be saying all this, and tomorrow there'll be a
When we went to
he'll announce a peace
when
agreement.
we
But I
started
would be very
when we
surprised.
started this war, I had high hopes that it would bring a new dawn, right? It would stop all the funding of Hamas and where's Hamas? Hamas and the other one. What one in Lebanon? Yeah,
Hezbollah.
Hezbollah. Thank you. The other H word.
Yeah.
Uh, and we'd be in much better shape as a world. But it just at this point doesn't look like we have got the backbone to do it. We should have we shouldn't have done anything in the first place if that's the case.
Yeah, and like I said, I think I think it was against the advice of everyone else that he decided to do this,
Yeah. Yeah.
which just makes it even more crazy.
Well, it'll be
Uh,
AOC, President AOC's problem in a few years.
AOC, AOC. Well, she's got her eggs. She's getting her eggs frozen, right?
Yeah.
She's single and ready to mingle.
Yeah, on one hand, she
Uh,
doesn't want to comment about her personal life when she was asked about her boyfriend, but on the other hand, she's putting herself in public on social media, freezing her eggs, and shoving
yep.
a syringe in her stomach. So I don't know which one it is. She wants to put
Yeah, I
it.
didn't know that's how you freeze your eggs, but I guess so. I
Yeah,
did see her
I'm
do
guessing
that.
it's like a prep thing for the actual. But yeah,
So yeah, it'll be uh, it'll be well. We're approaching the midterms. We've avoided a the news this week or yesterday. We've avoided nominating a Democratic socialist for governor of Wisconsin. So by a by the skin of our teeth, uh, we've managed to stand somebody up who's at least
Thanksgiving is saved
apparently a moderate.
in Wisconsin.
Well, yep, and I sent you that Kelsey. Is it Kelsey?
Yeah, Kelsey.
Kelsey chart that you know she was the whole thing flipped once Crowley got the nomination versus Hung. That he's at 70 whatever percent um, versus Tiffany, but which is kind of interesting to see how that chart flipped. I don't think
So
it's going to be that clear a cut. I think it'll be a closer race than that gives it credit for. But
yeah,
I
it's
think
early yet.
it'll depend on what happens, for the Republican Party in general between now, if they start raising interest rates again and treasuries keep on going up and if inflation sees another surge and if there's not a resolution on Iran, it could.
Yeah, it's all about labor, man. As far as interest rates, inflation, I don't think matters as much to the Fed as it does if it gets real high. But if labor softens, that's what's going to
Well,
trigger it.
the last report wasn't great.
No, we're in a weird spot. I expected Trump's second term to be like his first, and I expected us to just take off like crazy. And he just keeps stepping on his own nuts. You know what I mean? I
That's a good way to put it.
that's what's happening.
Just stepping on his own nuts.
But the thing
All
is,
this is unnecessary. All not
as
unnecessary, right?
odd as this feels and as stagnant as things feel, my 401k is up about 15.5%.
There you go.
My AI has
For
me
the
trading. I'm up 20%
for the time
on
being.
AI trading. Yes, for the time being. But it's so we're still growing,
But you're not feeling comfortable.
not feeling comfortable. Not at
You're
all.
not like, oh, we're winning. It's
Nope.
like, oh, we're what's going on?
I cannot
Right,
retire.
that's the feeling. It's uncertainty. It's not comfort. It's doesn't feel right. Right?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Yeah. And eventually, I think that's going to show up, right? When you have that much uncertainty and and whatnot, I think it eventually starts showing up in the economy. But we've been saying this for years, right now, and
If
yet
the whole Biden, I mean,
the whole Biden presidency, you were saying the recession was coming.
I was telling you early on. I said inflation's coming, inflation's happening. It's
Well,
crazy,
yeah,
and you're like,
you
no,
were on the inflation
and
thing.
you're like, it's transitory. It's transitory. They're right. I'm like, Kevin, it's 7 8
Well,
percent. It's probably closer to 10.
I, I still argue that inflation was transitory.
It was not. It was obviously not.
Still, well, it is. We're at 3.4. I would say we don't really have much inflation. Now, you would say, well, the numbers aren't right, right? You're
They
saying,
were reporting
well,
seven and a
we're not
half
at.
percent
I
back
mean,
when he was in office.
core inflation is 2.5%.
Yeah, that's
If
high.
you look at historic numbers, that's pretty dang low. I think we got used to such low numbers on interest rates and inflation that if you don't need to look back far to say, oh, this isn't really inflation.
The dollar has lost something like 97% of its value over time, and a large
Since
portion,
time, since when? Well, that's just the nature of the
a
world.
large
The
portion of
prices
that.
go.
I'm not saying a majority
Your
portion,
stocks have gone up
but
too,
a
right? Your
large
stocks have gone
portion,
up more than that.
a large portion of that has been in the last 5 years or so. And probably the vast majority of that has happened since the 70s. But
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, because we've had higher growth too. And look at how much the stock market has done since the 70s. So it's all kind of a yes, it's gone up, but it's all kind of gone up, right?
yeah,
Home values, stock market, assets that people have. Um, Now you can argue is it more than it should be or not, but um, we'll see. But I still say inflation was transitory.
did you see Trump's
even
plan?
even though we went to a restaurant on the lake this weekend. We were looking at the prices. We're like, shit, they're going to be charging over $20 for a burger pretty soon.
Oh, they already are here. Jeez, you can get a burger for under
And
20
we're like,
bucks.
at 1950,
Hmm.
they had it on their menu. I'm like, oh my god, this is. And then we started talking like, who's coming here often and buying this stuff? I mean, we went because we were out on the boat and whatnot, but it's like you end up going less, right?
Yeah,
You don't want to feel like you're being ripped off,
I don't eat out much at all anymore.
right? But then we were like talking. Is it the K-shaped economy? Is it like concert tickets, right? That now they call it the blue dot fever or whatever. If you look at concerts, a good number of the tickets don't sell, but they don't plan on selling all the
No.
tickets. I'm like, does the restaurant say, well, we have to have fewer staff if
Next
we
time you
charge
go out
20
to
bucks?
eat, and maybe it
Right.
doesn't count exactly where you're at, maybe it does, but next time you go out to eat, look around and see how many old people versus young people there are. Because it's
You're saying I'm going to see more old
yeah, the
people.
old people are going to the restaurants now. The young people can't afford it. Last time I took my family out to eat, because we haven't been going out anymore, and I was like, you know what, we're going to go out. I'm going to make a point. We got to go out at least once a month. I got out of there. And granted, it was a nicer place. But it was about $350 when I got out of there
Yep.
after the tip, right? So, and then you realize, oh, maybe I don't want to do this once a month, right?
Yeah, I mean, in a nice place, you can rack up
That's about what
a
it
big
cost
bill
me to
pretty.
eat out every day 2 weeks in Japan.
I mean, we've gone to nicer places and haven't had anything to drink. And for two people, it's 200, 250,
Yeah,
right?
it's just we've lost it.
I mean, if we were drinking, it would have been 400
Yeah,
or
more. Yeah,
350. I mean, not that, whatever. It's,
not that you can't afford it. It's the fact that it's crazy.
yeah, it's the principle of
Yeah,
it. It's the principle of it. And why should you,
right.
right?
And then yeah, exactly. And then the tipping's expected, and it's silly. Yeah, Trump's got a plan now for capital gains taxes, and it's tying that number. What is it? 500,000 on houses. to inflation. So as inflation occurs, the the taxable number changes.
Taxable part of
Yep.
your house. Well, yeah, they should tie some other things to inflation too. I always thought the biggest scam is the taxable part of Social Security hasn't been tied to inflation since 1986 when they started taxing it.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you on that.
It's a real low bar.
You,
It's like you can't make any money. There's no incentive to work.
there should be no tax on Social Security income. That said, we probably need to raise the taxable portion of that because I mean I'm capping out every year, and I don't know at the end of the year where I'm not
Yep.
paying put any more into it.
Yep. Yep.
Does that money mean much to me now? No, and I think it's probably worth it for somebody else to not lose their Social Security.
Yeah. I think they
And at
got.
the same
I think
time, I
that's
tend
one
to
of the
think I would have
solutions.
preferred a 401k style
Sure.
plan rather than Social
Everyone would have
Security.
done better,
Yeah,
right? All right. We're far afield from Iran, but
we are.
I'll let you wrap up the discussion since it's your
What are we
night.
singing tonight?
We don't have an Iranian song.
uh,
Battle Hymn of the Republic? My eye has seen the glory of the.
yeah,
Is that a war song? Coming
maybe
of the Lord.
of Iran.
He of such a
So
day.
here's the thing: we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the war. It's not over yet. Stories yet to come. When that happens, we'll have a cast highlighting it. Interesting things are ahead. I hope everybody has a safe week. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.